Hey everybody, welcome to Sticky Life Classics, special Monday edition. And you're asking yourself, why did we decide to go live on a Monday? Well, let me turn this camera on and aim it over here. Hold on. Don't fret. It's just the camera. We have got Neely, who's going to help us open up a couple of boxes. Now, the cool thing about these boxes is about a week and a half ago, I saw a huge lot of retro bodies in Texas, and it was a delivery only. You had to be local to Carrollton, Texas, and I happen to have a friend that lives in Carrollton, Texas. He ran over there and bought this lot. Now, what's in the box is going to be some that we have talked about on this show for quite a while, and I am excited to open it up. So let me see. Well, we got Wendell. That's all that matters, man. So we're going to have a fun night. Again, no huge kind of story here. No pomp and circumstances. We're not getting on the iPad. We're not explaining anything. All we're doing is opening up probably about 14 or 15 really, really cool bodies. And I wanted to show that to everybody. So I have not opened these. So we're going to take these scissors. Let me throw it over to this camera. And let's dive in. So, first body coming up is, it's also a test to see if our newly minted teacher can figure out how to open the box. She did a great job on that so far. So we'll see what we've got. Now, some of these, by the way, are very, very rare, and some are going to be, so we'll kind of see what we got. It's like, if you're old enough to remember, like we're going to do this opening, and I kind of have an idea what's in there. And I know there's a couple in here that are going to be special to folks. So the first, what do we got? We got some McAllister stuff. So this one here, let me switch you over to this camera, and then we'll focus it in real quick. This one actually is the Chevy Sport Truck. Now, cool thing about these is they were actually made for the RS10T truck, and these were late 90s. It's a cool 1990s truck body. So we'll skip that one because that's not the fun one. Let's keep going. This one's still available. This is the Mustang Wedge. I think they still have this one on the website. Not much to say other than it was $19 back in the day. This is a 9.5-inch body. And actually, we've talked a lot about kind of some of the body wars. Well, there was a second war that was going on that was kind of this wedge shape. And everybody kind of had one. There was Camaro wedges. I think we've got one in the box. And then this Mustang wedge here, but just in great shape. Let's see what the next one is. And it is, one of my personal favorites. And we actually had one other one of these, but now I think we're going to have to get somebody to do some painting. This is actually, let me see if I can get it where it looks a little better here. This was the short track Lumina. Now they made a couple of different variants of this. They made a short track Lumina, and then they made a Ford Thunderbird short track. Now there's a few things, I don't know if you can see it through the wrapping, and I am not going to take these out of the wrapping. But they had molded in kind of all of the body pieces. This was to go after the ASA market, which was super hot at that time. It's also coming off the Days of Thunder kind of big push. Tiny, tiny trunk lid. Really accentuates kind of that super late model kind of scene that was going on. And these, not super easy to find, by the way. Next one is, in fact, this is one of the first bodies that I ever had. And I don't know if you can see this. Let me show you the picture. Let me see if I can get it to focus in. That is Steve Rule, by the way. That is a baby Steve Rule. I'm going to have to send that over to him. And then if you ever remember, like Jamie and those guys would always have, I got to figure out which way my finger goes. There we go. Would have those bowling hats, but that's Steve Rule. I don't know who the other people are. We're gonna have to. I've never asked him who the other women were in there, but this is the Chevy Lumina, and I don't know if you guys know this. Holy crap, I got worse. There we go. This was, by a week ago, was the 30th anniversary of Days of Thunder. This body actually came out around that time, super popular. I couldn't tell you how many City Chevrolets and Exxon cars were sold. You could get a Parma sticker kit, and this thing matches out really well. I actually had the number 5 Levi Garrett car at that time, but super cool Bolink body. And I wouldn't say that it's super rare, but it's a little bit unique. So let's see, what's the next one? 1988 Thunderbird stock car, and this one is in ridiculously good shape. In fact, it's probably one of the best ones that I've seen for plastic and everything. This was, this is the car that went the fastest at Talladega, and it was right in when pan cars were really hitting. So just a really cool body there. Another exact same body. So we got 2 of the same. Let's see. This is another wedge. So this is McAllister Exterminator Wedge Firebird. I think they still have the molds for this. I think you can still get this body. It has got a forever. Let me just show you. This is the nose on this thing. And then it had these huge wheel wells. Like literally I'm grabbing a hold of both wells. Let me switch over to the other camera so you can see it. So huge nose, goes back kind of into the sweeper body style. You can see, I mean, these things are huge. And then goes up into it. So really cool Trans Am. What is this one? This is another, ASA Firebird. So this actually competed with the Bolink stuff, and just a really cool body here from McAllister's. The only problem with them was they were actually pretty narrow. You didn't see a lot of these. They just didn't handle super well. Let's see. We have got a ton of these to go through. So, this is the NDRA Firebird. So this is actually the first of the dirt late models. And also, I think this was also one of the winners of the Roar stuff. So it says, hold on. So Jake says Ross has every mold ever made for McAllister. You damn junk collector. Exactly. I used to race them. Let's see. Goodman says nope. Mike Wood says bathtub. Cool body. All right. So this is. Where did we leave off? So this is the Firebird dirt car. Let's see. That Outlaw oval, dirt oval. And again, McAllister's decided, hey, you cannot make the wheel wells big enough. And look at the wheel wells up over that frame on that thing. Just a massive one. Now, we're going to get back to one of my personal favorites. And I made a huge mistake. I actually got rid of this car. I had one of these a couple years ago, and I traded it off in a deal. And this is a 1992 Buick Nero. It actually makes for a really good Jeff Bodine car. You could do a couple of other ones. Oh, you could get a Ricky Rudd out of that. But really, really cool car for that one. Now, there's a few of these. We got a few of these floating around our place. This was the body. It got replaced by the 1992. This is a 1990 Nero Firebird. The premier car in pan car racing would come out a couple years later, which would be the 92. The 92 then got picked over by the 97, which became the body everybody ran in pan cars for a couple of years. Now, this is actually pretty good. So this, let me take it out since it's already torn and give you guys a little bit of a view on it. I just realized we're going to the wrong camera. So this is a 1995 Pontiac Grand Prix. It's got the molding for, let me see if I can get it in the right light, for the mini quads. And this was probably one of my favorite bodies that Bolink did. I don't know if you can still, I don't even think this one's available anymore. It's probably lost somewhere along the way. But this was a really good, it was a good handling body, and it was extraordinarily accurate. And actually a couple of things interesting. It's got a lot of hip action going on back here that probably didn't match out, but worked really well in the pan car world. Let me see. Got another kind of interesting buy. So this is a Dom's Lola, which if you guys were around Cleveland in the 90s, let me switch cameras for you. Cleveland in the 90s, then here we go. The aperture is a little high on that. We're going to go back to this camera. This was the body to have. Now, this body actually became kind of the forerunner to a little bit of an aero war that we had. We've talked about it in Dirt Oval. We've talked about it in a few other places. But Protoform would come out and challenge this body, but it was a pretty sweet one for its time. And then same body. So we'll swap that one over. Now, you can't leave out the good folks of MRP. They were like, hey, we're kind of missing out on this whole pan car thing because we stuck around and did the slot cars for a while. This was kind of an unusual car, and I never actually seen one painted, but it's a Ferrari Testarossa. And there's a card in here. Let me see if I can get it for you. But there you go. So kind of a cool body. MRP, like I said, not a real racer's body, but it was a pretty sweet body in its time. And by the way, that was super hard for those guys to mold. 1998 Vet. So if you were going on-road racing and had your RC10 DL, I think it was, this is the body that you wanted to have on that thing. Not to be left out, you had the Toyota body from our friends. Now look at how wide this pan car body actually is. Now, this was made for a wide car because remember, wide cars hung on in the on-road probably about 5-6 years after they went off in the oval road. And so that's why they're still making these as late as this one. And it actually came with a piece to make your rear wing out of. Extraordinarily rare car right here. And one of the reasons that I wanted to get this lot, this is the Dodge Daytona IROC. And I don't know how many that they pulled out of this thing, but it says hold them up higher. All right. This one here, extraordinary rare. In fact, I haven't seen one commercially available in forever, but this was mid-90s. I'm trying to think when they switched over to the Daytonas, from the Daytonas to the Firebirds. So it's going to be mid-90s, but just crazy cool body out of that one. Got another, I don't even know what this is. It says it is a SCHKEE Open Sports body. I have no idea, other than it was kind of a goofy on-road body. But now I got something to call Rule about this week. And if you know what it is, post up on that one. This one I definitely know. This Firebird, we've already covered it. It's a duplicate to one earlier. Apparently the guy really liked Firebirds. And that is the end of the first box. So we're going to switch them around real quick. If you have, by the way, these are some of the coolest things. I've seen a bunch of these old cards laying around. And if you've got a couple of Body by Bowlinks, you know you're definitely doing old school. And I know a lot of you guys come from the old school Bowlink page. This is actually a really good version of that. And we'll keep it. So in this box, I happen to know there's a couple of them that we're going to get to that are extraordinarily rare. One is there's a Beretta. And then two, there was a LeBaron that were in the thing. So I'm looking forward to seeing those come up. So we'll see what is the first one. While she's pulling them out, we have got Addie who says, hey, Neely, so you've got a fan. Neely's first night. Here you go. First night over there. And she's already got a fan. Let's see what we got. They packed them in good. I'm glad that they all made it. Can you imagine how sad we would have been? Reese is over here running the I'm not sure what he's doing, quite honestly, but it looks really important. So he's this is a Jaguar GTP. So This one, by the way, when these get painted up, these are actually, I think, one of the coolest McAllister bodies that he made. And it had a whole bunch of stuff going on. The wing wasn't super functional because he had this huge piece here, but just a great looking body. This is another one that's like way off the charts crazy. Let me see if I can get it pulled around here for you. This is an ASA Chevy Lumina. The roof is here, the hips are here. So you've got an idea. This thing is about as flat of a wedge. They put these huge wheel wells on them, but more importantly, it's new enough that it's actually got window masks. It's the first car that's come through with window masks in it. So you know you're getting new then. Outlaw T-Bird. If you're gonna have a Lumina, you better follow that up with a Ford product. Somebody has to finish second, which will be our friends in the Ford, and just a really cool body there. Let's see what this one is. Now, I do have something to mention, and a few of you guys that have been around for a while know this, but I have a thing for Oldsmobiles. And that's exactly what this is. This is a 1987 Oldsmobile Fastback. So what's really cool about this is that it's not the kind of the bubble back end that they had. This is actually the Fastback version. So if you're familiar with what General Motors did in 97, they came out with a couple of Aero things. One was the Aero, and then a Fastback Aero Monte Carlo SS, where they did a bunch of work on the rear window, did the same thing on the Oldsmobile, and that's what this is representative of. And I have never actually seen one of these, but pretty excited about that. Now, I mentioned it earlier. It was DS. If you had an RC10 DS, it came with a Mustang, and after you knocked that thing off of a curb a few times, you wanted to put another Mustang back on. This is that body. It's super wide. It fit that car. You could also kind of cut it down. You could get the fit a pan car, but most of the guys put those on their DSs. And by the way, if you've got a DS, that's actually a classic car now. eBay, they're selling really well, and it's just a really fun thing. And this was the body that you had to have for that. We're going wide. We've talked about it many times since 1988. Narrow cars did not exist, and this was kind of the king of that. So this is the 1988 Pontiac Grand Prix. It doesn't say wide because there wasn't a wide car. It was the car, and just some pretty cool body work there. A little hard to see through the plastic. It's a little bit yellowed, but you can still see Steve Rule's beautiful face coming out of it.
That's the same one.
Same one. So we're moving that one. I promised it. This is it. The Chevy Beretta. Now, go back to a few different classics and you'll hear me rewind. Hey, I wish I had a Chevy Beretta. They were super rare. We picked up 2 of them in this lot. So this is it. Now, here's what was different. One, if you wanted a Chevy Lumina, but you were like, hey, I'm too poor to buy a Chevy Lumina, you'd go down to the Chevy dealer and get a Chevy Beretta, which was just a really cool little car back in, I don't know, 92. They were like, oh, that'd make an incredibly horrible racing car. And that's what it did. So the body did not handle well. It didn't race well. Everybody was going to run a wider one. But this was the Beretta version. They tried in our home track up in Michigan. We tried to make like a Busch Grand National where you had to run a stupid body. Reese is saying it's got to go up higher. And this was that body. So again, just a really cool kind of piece of history there with the Chevy Beretta. And by the way, I was talking to a car dealer a couple of weeks ago. We were buying a truck, and I was like, hey, first car I ever got turned down on a car loan was a Chevy Beretta, and he had no idea what it was. Second Chevy Beretta that we mentioned. Now, somehow this brand new Losi made it in. We'll get rid of that. Mr. Goodman was hanging out the entire night. He's like, I don't care about no Berettas. I don't care about anything. I want to see the Hustler wedge. And this, by the way, is one of the coolest bodies, I think. This was a Batwing Slayer. You had this tiny little dome, which was largely nothing. And then, yeah, that's exactly. You know what? That's exact. Reese just said that's an MR without the top. It is. That's exactly what it is. I'm going to have to give Greg, like, hey, man, I find your inspiration. But these cars were so awesome, just like MR Customs. And that you could paint those up super cool. In fact, I think we got one sitting around here. It is painted. This is it. Now, my old buddy, and I used to race with Charles Cochran, was always like kind of a contrarian to a lot of what people ran. So he had to have the Chrysler LeBaron. You can't read it on there, but trust me, that's what it says. And this was basically a different front end and a slightly different rear window from the Chevy Lumina. Actually ran really, really well. And just a cool body. These are impossible to find. And it got me to jump out of my chair when I saw this was in there in two Berettas. So huge, huge hit there. All right, let's see. Let's go back and see if I've missed anybody. Let's see. Wendell says, oh, we already had that one. Let's see. Oh, there's my niece Addie is saying, I love your beautiful assistant. I do love Reese too. He's a good kid. Let's see. Can't see it in the middle of scrolling words on the screen. Oh, that's why. All right. Sorry about that. Time to put it higher. He did, and then I kept going lower. Mike had the, oh, you had one. Oh, wow. Let's see. Hey, Ronnie, good to see you on. Neely better than the host. Whatever.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, this is Neely. Oh, they miss you. They don't say that about me. Let's see. I have a set. Yeah, you know what, Brad? We can work a deal if you want to get rid of those. No, Brian, we don't. We'll find out. We're running low. I don't think there was any Velodrome bodies in there, but I think I have all the Velodrome bodies. In fact, I'm pretty sure we do. Let's see. Had a body. Premier Designs had a body similar to the Hustler. I've never heard of that. In fact, I think Goodman was telling me about it. So if we need anybody that knows anything about 1940s bodies, it's Rob Goodman. That's what his era was. This one here is the Shelby Can-Am Open Sports. Can honestly tell you, I've never seen this body either. And so just gonna have to go back and look at it later. Super cool body though. Let's see what we got. Oh, this. So this is one of them we were talking about. So this is a classic paint job from the 1990s. It was actually done by Chris Smith for Roman Pemberton. And Roman, who's a dear friend of mine, gave me this body a few weeks ago. And I kept telling him, it's going to make it on the show. It's going to make it on the show. Well, here it is. And this, talk about a wedge. I mean, just look at, let me get it where it's not flexed. But look at that thing. Like, I don't even know if you can head on. There is no air hitting that windshield. And just a really cool and special body from Roman on that. Let's see. I knew what this one was already. This is the Nissan. If anybody remembers, this is the car that was in all the ads in RC Racing. This is that body. Let's see what we got next. There you go. There's the Toyota. Let's see. The 1955 Chevy Bel Air. It's kind of like, we're rolling them. We should have done that. We should have done we could roll them across like the Barrett Jackson stand. This one would definitely be on that list, not the race list. But it was a cool body. You still see these around every once in a while. Guys somehow bought a bunch of them up. I actually got a couple of these painted in another deal we're going to show you later on. But this is the 1966 Mustang Fastback. You can make an Eleanor out of this one if you chose. Just a cool body. And let's see. The next one is a 1988 Buick Regal. Now, I got a story on this. One of the first times that I raced indoor carpet, I actually had this painted up in the Castrol oils. with green and everything. And what I learned is not all paints work well, and I actually tore the body like the first night out. I was crushed, but I have some pictures of it. And McAllister's made a cool body back in 1988. 1988 Pontiac. So another one. If you do the math, what is that? That's 32 years ago. Is that right, Reese? 32 years ago. I would think I was 1 year old at that time racing. I started really young. I used to have the baby crib out there, and that's what I raced from. It's two sticks. Sticks, yeah. Reese said I still race like a baby. That's why he doesn't get to come on the show ever again. Now, what I like about this is a Profab Camaro, and it's got Camaro misspelled. So I wonder if that was intentional or if it's actually a misspelling on there. But another cool ASA style body from McAllister's. Is this it? Mm-hmm. And this is the last one, ladies and gentlemen, and it is another Profab Camaro. So let's go. And which one?
The wedge.
Oh, let me see if it's open. It is not, and I'm not going to open it because that would mean that it would be less valuable to me because it'd be dirty. But let me get it where you guys can see it. I'll hold it up here. So again, tiny dome area. Oh, that's a great shot. Tiny dome area. Basically, look at the rake on that thing. This could run this weekend in Little Dixie. We could put a roof on this thing. I'd definitely run it this weekend. But it's just, like I said, just a cool body, and actually follows a lot of the modern stuff, except it doesn't have near the front scoop. So let's see. Anybody else? Let's see. Where'd we leave off? Premier Designs. Yeah, Goodman says Premier Designs are are uber rare. If you ever come across one, please let me know. We'll put it on the shelf for sure. And I'm known for, if I find two, then I'll be trading with you. Couple of things, and we'll call it a night. Put up some, if you've got any questions or anything there, put them up. Otherwise, no Sticky Live, because we will be prepping for the Carolina Classic at Little Dixie this week. So no Sticky Live. Maybe we'll do something from the track. We'll see. Two, if you have a BMS dirt car and you are looking for parts, we are extraordinarily close to having almost all of the parts done. And I can't say enough for all of Brock's help getting the sprint car together. We're working on that. Some of you guys know that. It's not been a big secret that we're working on some replacement parts. But if you've got a BMS car, come on out and race. If you don't want to race 17.5, they make an amazing 21.5 car, and you will not have to worry about parts. We have parts for the entire car. If you've got a BMS car that you no longer want, give us a call. Reese is always in the market for another one, but I prefer if you don't sell it. I prefer that you race it, and you race it with Ghost Parts. And we will hit 1,500 likes on the Sticky Icky page. We did. How many do we have?
The suspense.
I know. Hold on. Reese is looking real time to tell us how many we got. This is what I deal with. This is what I deal with all this.
1,500 on the dot.
1,500 on the dot. So we will do a giveaway this week. I'll jump on for a few minutes and we'll do a giveaway and give some stuff away. Probably some zero, because we are trying to tell everybody, you should, if you're in the South right now in the middle of summer, you should be on zero. If you don't believe us, we'll let you pick something else, but we'll do that. So let's see. Did we get any? Oh, that's cool, Daniel. You got a Hustler body signed by Bloomer. Oh, that's pretty cool. Did they just redo the surface at Little Dixie? Yes, and it is ridiculous. Like, if I said, here's all the things that we should do to a dirt oval track, all of that list would be done at Little Dixie. It's by far one of my favorite tracks in the country, and I can't say enough. Austin is amazing. We'll be down there like 3 weeks out of this month. So go down and support if you get a chance. And Mike Woods, you need to get a dirt car and come out racing with us. Let's see if we've got anybody else. We're running right on our half-minute mark. So I'm going to give you guys one more round if anything comes up here. I don't see anything, so we're going to say this. Thanks for watching. Had a great time doing this one. Like I said, sometimes it's fun not to do all the pomp and circumstance and multi-camera stuff that we try to get away with and just do an unboxing video. I've never done one before, but next week we're going to do Kinder Eggs now that I've gotten so good at it. So we'll see. No, I'm just kidding. We're not going to do Kinder Eggs. Take care. We'll see you next time.